Hey guys, it's Graham. Welcome back to the Midnight Ride. Let's talk about Crazy Stupid Love, a movie that I've heard about for years. I finally watched it this week, and I don't understand the hype around this one. It does not. It does not excel over its lowest tendencies. This is meant to evoke kind of the Shakespearean idea of a comedy of errors, of a Twelfth Night kind of thing, where there's a whole bunch of stuff going on and it's all intertwined, and then it comes together at the end in this explosive scene, and we're supposed to have some kind of satisfying resolution from all of that. We get the explosive scene, we get one piece of satisfaction. The rest of the resolution is, much like the movie leading up to it, a just a terrible mess. It reminded me of years ago when my nephew sent me a manuscript for a book that he wrote when he was 12 years old. And it reminded me of stuff that I wrote back then because I was new to writing, and I didn't really know how to tell a story. I just knew the kind of moments that I wanted to have in a story. And so I would muddle my way through the necessary bits just to get to the really cool stuff that I kept imagining in my mind. That's just what you do when you're 12. And then the writers that really want to get better at it, they figure out how to make the muddling stuff interesting. This one was 100% a case of that. Crazy Stupid Love was somebody saying, it would be cool if we had a couple of scenes like this. Let's throw a good cast in there, and then we'll work backwards from it, and we'll expect everything in between to resonate the way that we want it to. It does not. So the plot mainly centers on a guy named Cal Weaver, played by Steve Carell. He's been married for 25 years, and in the opening scene, his wife admits that she had an affair, she cheated on him, and she wants a divorce. And he very mopily moves out of the house, and he's just, like, his life is falling apart. He starts drinking and complaining about the fact that his wife cheated on him. He gets approached in a bar by Ryan Gosling's character, Jacob Palmer, who's just this total swag bro. He's like, hey, you remind me of someone. I think I can help you out. And he gives Steve Carell this total man makeover. Changes wardrobe, changes approach on life, make his wife regret cheating on him. And he becomes this absolute player at the same time that his wife, to whom he is still legally married, is continuing this affair with a coworker of hers. And the revelation that Cal has along the way is just that, oh, I got lazy in my marriage, but I'm still, like, super incredibly in love with my wife. And so he goes to make a big, the beau geste, as they call it, big gesture to get his wife back. And right when he goes to do that, a whole bunch of other plot lines pile up on top of it, and it blows up in his face, and his life sucks, and he goes home. But then at his son's eighth grade graduation, he realizes that his son has lost his belief in true love, because he saw his parents' love fall apart, but there's an even bigger reason than that. We'll get to his storyline in a second. And in the middle of his 8th grade graduation speech, his dad gets up and he's like, no, my son shouldn't lose his faith in true love. I was not much older than him when I believed in true love, and I met my wife, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm never going to give up on my wife. And it's like, well, this is after, like, you became a player, bro, and you banged like 9 other women. But I digress. There wasn't a strong enough motivation for the opening of the movie, for the decay of the marriage, other than just like, oh, I got lazy. Like, there needs to be more than that to counteract the magnitude of this one true love sentiment that they were pimping for the rest of the movie. If she was his one true love, but then he got lazy enough in the marriage to where he stopped paying attention to her and she cheated on him, what led to that? There was no story explanation to it. They just wanted to, like, they needed to get to the point where he was doing such a poor job that she cheated on him and wanted a divorce. So, big storytelling failure right there. And for the most part, his wife, Emily, played by Julianne Moore, came off as tremendously unlikable and dumb for her decision-making process throughout this whole thing, too. And when she gets mad at him after she wants a divorce, she kicks him out of the house, and then she finds out that he's hooked up with all these other women in bars. that's not a move on his part that I'm going to defend, but she vacated the right to get mad at him when she had an affair and then cheated on him. The one thing that she was mad at was that she found out he said something to one of these women that he used to say to her. It's like, well, what's your standing for this? This is dumb. This is an example of people who claim to be in love with each other but don't communicate. This is symptomatic of a larger problem with this movie in that, for the most part, it mistakes love with lust. There's a little bit of the Twitter-pated stuff going on, which is fine. It's a lovely component of real love. But a marriage, a relationship built on true and deep lasting love is also about work and communication and being more concerned with your spouse than you are with your own interests. If you're both pulling that weight, you're pulling that weight together. Why did he get lazy? Why did he stop pulling that weight? Is it just because he turned 40 and he was wearing New Balances? It's not explored or explained because the writers didn't know how to explore or explain it. For the most part, all they've known is the Twitter-pated feelings and the lust. And this became very, very apparent in two of the other storylines they pursued with Robbie was the kid, with Cal's son, Robbie, who's 13, and Robbie's babysitter, what the heck is her name? I've already forgotten her name. The actress, her name is Jessica. The actress's name is Annalee Tipton. I felt like I'd seen her in a bunch of other stuff. I looked up her IMDb, and it's like, I looked at all of her credits, like, no, I've never seen you in anything else. She just looks really familiar. Anyway, this is where they're trying to go with the Shakespearean angle of multiple other storylines. Robbie has a crush on Jessica, who's 4 years older than him. She's 17. Jessica has a crush on Cal, the man whose family she babysits for. And when she finds out that the Weavers are getting divorced, she's got this harebrained plan where she goes and asks the slutty girl in her senior year class to, like, hey, give me some pointers on how to seduce an older man. And she's like, oh, take naked pictures of yourself and leave them for him. So the movie depicts this underage girl taking naked pictures of herself to send to a man who is still married, on top of the fact that he's like, what, freaking 25 years older than she is, but I digress. And like her dad is friends with this guy. All of that is thrown in there, like regardless of how off-putting or repugnant it is, just to set up this explosive scene later on in the movie where her dad confronts Cal, thinking that Cal knows about all this other crap that's going on, blah, blah, blah. As off-putting as that all is, my main offense with the Robbie storyline, the 13-year-old boy storyline, is we're introduced to him when Jessica is wrapping up her babysitting for the night. She checks on him in his room, and he's flogging the mule to a picture of her. And he tells her, he's like, well, I only think of you when I do that. I have this picture of you that I look at when I'm doing that. And she's like, no, please stop. Like, and I swear, like, he brings that up 3 or 4 more times. And like confesses his true love to her because he cranks the anaconda to pictures of her, and that's what true love is. Like we're supposed to get these didactics about true love from this kid who really, 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 like, the script demands that you understand that he finds whatever private moment that he can to freaking wrestle the python whilst thinking about this girl who thinks about his dad. Like, somebody needs to go and reread The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis to understand the damage of conflating just hardcore lust with what true, profound, and lasting, meaningful love is. Because, holy crap, somebody did not know how to write this. And on top of that, there's this perverse fixation with, let's write about a kid who just cranks it a lot. Like, why? Why? Hollywood, what are you trying to tell us? Hey, but again, teenage boys do that. That's not a story. That's not anything redemptive in a character. It's the same as in detail describing a freaking bowel movement. If you're talking about, it's a natural bodily function. Lots of things are natural bodily functions. What the hell does this have to do with real love? Anyway, at the end of the movie, she provides these, we'll say that they are actual crime scene photos because she was underage, and she gives them to a boy. Oh, it's okay, they're in real life. No, like, she provides underage pornography to a child as part of his love arc, and saying, you know, he's like, hey, I'll look you up after high school. Oh. The real linchpin of this movie, the one thing that saved it, was not just Gosling's performance, but his arc as well, because he is a playboy who just picks up and uses and discards hot women in bars all the time. But he gets blindsided when he meets a beautiful woman, and he takes her home and doesn't sleep with her. They start talking and communicating and having a real connection. And he gives up on everything else in his life, not so that he can constantly sneak off and hook up with this chick, but because he develops, as Jack Sparrow says, stirrings, feelings. He starts to care. They develop real love. The plot twist that leads to the big explosive scene at the end is when this girl, and her name is Hannah, she takes Jacob home to meet her mom. Her mom is Cal's wife, Emily. And this is after Cal has taken a whole bunch of like pickup man coaching from Jake. And he's like, I don't want you dating my daughter. She's too good for you and stuff. The fatherhood angle of Cal's story was very, very strong, especially with the whole fact of like, I'm not going to approve of you dating my daughter. I know too much in detail like how you are. And Jacob is like he faces that and accepts that for what he is, for what it is. Like he tells Hannah during these moments of vulnerability, he's like, my mom was an incredibly beautiful and vain woman, and my dad had we'll say that he was a nice man who had low self-esteem, and that's why he decided to help Cal in that bar, is because Cal reminded him of his own father, who was wealthy and successful and nice, but got walked on by his beautiful mother, who cuckolded him all the time. These men found fulfillment and purpose in their friendship with each other, and drive towards real love. Cal did want to fix things with Emily, and Jacob stopped his womanizing, philandering ways to be with Hannah. That stuff is all well and good. It ended up being like half of the overall story in the movie, and the rest of it was just filled with dumb people and filth. It wasn't worth what it took to get there for the payoff in the end. The story wasn't told well enough. The holes in the writing were too obvious, and when you can see the script behind it, it's just a blanket with holes in it. Like it's just bad writing. It doesn't hold it in. It doesn't give you what you need. This movie is its clips. The merit of this movie is its clips. If you see some clips, some highlights of the best scenes from it on YouTube, like you've seen the parts of the movie that are worth watching. The rest of it doesn't have anything meaningful or substantive or fulfilling to say about its title, which is Crazy Stupid Love. I even saw an interview once with Steve Carell where he said that he thought the movie should have been called The Wingman, which would have been a better title, and it would have gotten more, college-age dudes to go see it with their bros and stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe the title should have been that if the movie was also more exclusively about that, and not with these constant asides of a 13-year-old boy masturbating to a 17-year-old babysitter, and then telling her very, very often that he does that, and she smiles and giggles about it. If somehow you are 13 years old and you are watching this video, please take this advice from a somewhat wizened and withered, experienced 40-year-old man. Girls are not impressed by this. Never do this. This is not the voice of experience speaking. This is the voice of common sense. Girls are not impressed by you walking up to them and saying that you are in real, true, deep, everlasting love because you did this. Don't for whatever reason, don't tell them that you did that while thinking about them. Girls don't want to hear that. The ones that do, guard your bank account, man. Holy crap. This was a tremendously overrated movie. It did have some real moments of heart peeking through at the very end, and some moments of wit and humor. They were not worth what it cost to get there through the rest of it. Anyway, that's it. Gripe over. Drive safe. See you out there.